All right, people. So sorry, I had to stop the video because it was frozen and it wasn't reacting to the command. So sorry. We are back. This is almost like taking food out of somebody's mouth. So we are back. Thank you so much for joining us again. I guess we'll consider this as part two. So, Sister Augusta, please go ahead with the subsequent question.
No, I'm yet to finish with.
Oh yes, Mazi,
okay.
please go ahead and finish.
So we got to the point where we were explaining to our people that every single thing, whether it is the corruption they see climbing all over Nigeria, under this constitution, corruption is official. There are provisions in black and white that enable the humongous corruption we're talking about, that also protect the potential beneficiaries of corruption. Anybody who knows, one second. Sorry, I had to, adjust something. Now, anybody who knows any lawyer in Nigeria who is talking about fighting corruption under this constitution should tell that lawyer he's a criminal, that I said that he's a criminal. Whether that lawyer is part of government or outside government pretending they are concerned about corruption. Section 6, subsection 6C of the Constitution, relieves the government of responsibility towards the citizens. So all the money in the treasury is not meant for you. Section 6, subsection 6C, it removes all of what is the share of the citizen in the social contract. The citizen is supposed to have all kinds of things listed in chapter 2 of the Constitution, and that's section 6, subsection 6C, makes it non-justiciable. It says, well, you can't ask whether it's done or not done. From that, you go to section 81 and 82 that gives the spare key to the treasury to the president. Section 81 says the president must go to get permission from National Assembly to spend money. Section 82 says he can run government, spending money subject to certain dubious limits. So the president does not require anybody's authorization to take any money he finds in the treasury. As it is for the president in section 81, 82, so it is for the governors in sections 121, 122. Therefore, the heads, the 37 men who are the heads of the executive branch, they hold in their hand the spare key to the treasury, and they can take everything they find in it under those provisions. Then you come to section 308 that gives them absolute immunity. So they don't owe you any obligation. They have the spare key to the treasury. They have absolute immunity. You can't question them while they're in office. And as they're leaving, find out who replaces them. People who go to prison if they were to be probed. Check who replaces the governors that have had to leave. And so we have these things coming from that constitution. So whether you're in the Niger Delta shouting about resource control, it is the constitution that took all those assets. There's no change. No adjustment is possible. No improvement is going to happen as long as that constitution is in place. You are in the middle belt. You are being killed. There's no change, no adjustment, no improvement that is possible under this constitution until it's taken down. The killings will go on because the guns are in the hands of only one small group. And it is that constitution that put the guns in their hands. Those who are waiting for electricity to improve, they're not going to get any improvement as long as the electricity generation and transmission remains in place under that constitution. So that constitution has to go down for electricity to come. If you're talking about railways and ports and all the other things that are in disarray, or elections that are upside down, those people in civil society that go around talking about free and fair election under an apartheid constitution, I said to them that when things will break down, there will be the first set of casualties from those who are going to be enforcing what the people want in the coming day. They are the ones holding that constitution in place. The political parties, all of them, subscribe to that constitution. For every election they drag us to under that constitution, at the time we have repudiated the constitution in every way possible. We are telling them, let's go and fix it. If for every election they drag us to, they are only elongating the life of that constitution that caused the killings, that caused the miseries, that caused the impoverishment of people, ruining their lives. The quota system that put the worst of us in charge of the best of us. And so it is just a matter of saying that what the Lower Niger Congress and the MNN and the rest of the MNN Alliance did was to diagnose this problem for what it is. Every other solution, every other approach will fail except you diagnose correctly. The patient will die. The patient here is Nigeria. The other patient are the Nigerians who are trapped in that union of death. And so the LNC, the MNN Alliance, worked out something that will bring all of those who are suffering from this battering, from these impositions, put them on one side against the people who insist that we cannot change those things. Because in the map we showed, all of the people in this alliance territory now agree among themselves that we must go back to being a federation. They agree that that constitution must be taken down so that we can put in place provisions that will make us a federation one more time, so that things can begin to work like it works in other countries. The people who impose that constitution, who have also imposed Sharia, and who are holding on to feudalism of master and servant, they are the ones saying that it can't happen. They say it's indissoluble. They say the union is indivisible, and all kinds of nonsense. But this majority has come to where it will not tolerate that bad arrangement one more season. And the political parties that submit themselves to going to elections under that constitution, the winner of any such election will govern with that constitution. So anybody who is prepared to swear to defend and uphold a constitution that is the reason for the killing of other people, is reason for the impoverishment of other people, because it's going to get some profit in the coming days, those who are either being killed in the Middle Belt, or whose assets have been detained in Niger Delta, or whose lives have been turned upside down. Look at Eastern Nigeria. Look at the number of people outside the country trying to earn a living. Many of them die in the Mediterranean Sea trying to cross over, go to Europe, go to the US, go to Asia, and you see the number of our people who have been charged out of their homeland by Nigeria that is choking them. And you think they're going to remain in that place and die all? They want to come back to begin the reconstruction of their society. All of those who have been dislodged. In the coming days, the people who are sustaining that constitution, those doing political party, telling us we'll go to another election, especially those in the East, who are now talking about Igbo presidency, we will treat them as the enemy, as the people who are directly responsible for this problem. Because if they were not going to seek benefit under that apartheid constitution, we will have solved this problem a long time ago. It is because they want to take benefit under this apartheid constitution that we are dying. So we're going to treat them as the people directly responsible for the deaths that are happening, whether in the Middle Belt or in the Niger Delta or in the eastern part. We're going to treat them as the ones sustaining the criminality of opening our treasury up for people who are not accountable to us. We're going to hold them accountable for all of what has happened that is now bringing Nigeria as the example of the failed state among the Committee of Nations. The LNC and the rest of MNN Alliance has set up a framework by which we can ease out this constitution and replace same with something that is the negotiated outcome from those who have been trapped here. And by that we're saying we have arrived at that point where South Africa reached in 1990, when the government of the day had to accept that the apartheid constitution could no longer carry their society any further. We will not allow anybody to drag us to an election that will give another 4 years of life to that constitution that has injured us for 21 years. We are saying it loud and clear now that those who, whether they're of PDP or they're of APC or they're AGA, we are saying that as long as, to the extent that all of the political parties subscribe to that constitution, they are all, complicit in continuing the treason that Absalom Abaka and his confederates in the Supreme Military Council of the time committed against us in throwing away what should have been the social contract and replacing it with the one that is now causing these deaths and injuries to everybody. We must draw a line. We are not quarreling with those in government house. We are saying that we must accept that we've not made this constitution. We must accept that it can no longer remain the basis of selling 3 million barrels of crude oil every day and killing people all over the place, and bringing foreigners to come to kill people and take their lands. And we pretend we're in a union. That union is distressed, and people who are suffering under it have become a majority. They have organized themselves, and they will not take it any further.
Thank you. Thank you. Well said. It's so sad that our people are aware of what is going on, especially those in leadership, and they continue to promote this government that is against their people. I just don't understand it. Sister Augusta, please go ahead with the subsequent question.
Yeah, thank you, Barrister Tony, for your explanation. I just hope our people would open their brains, because as I was perusing what they were saying, some of them are still probably daft, I don't know, but they need to open to what is going on. So my question to you, Barrister Tony, is considering the rapidly growing consensus against the continued operation of the 1999 Constitution, especially the recent pronouncements about rejecting further national elections under the disputed 1999 Constitution by the leading sociopolitical groups in southern and middle belt of Nigeria, can you please explain to our viewers how the political class is the unseen angle that renews the enslavement every 4 years, while they smuggle their children and family abroad away from the misery that it creates? Thank you, Mother Tony.
Thank you. Yes, I was almost stepping into that arena,
that,
because
yes.
as long as the tap is on, you mop in vain. I mean, you're just deceiving yourself. Instead of turning off the tap, you want to go and mop. So every time we talk about, PDP is not doing well, let's go and bring APC, it's just a matter of trying to mop differently. We have seen the kind of mopping that Jonathan did. We saw the one that Buhari have been doing since then. Has the situation improved? And we say the turning of the tap in the situation is to take down that 1999 constitution, just like South Africa had to take down apartheid constitution to end the misery of the blacks in South Africa. Now, why haven't we been able to do it since 1999? These complaints have been loud and clear. The people that make it impossible, the people that insist it cannot be changed, are the ones who are governors from our place, not the ones of Sokoto and Kano. It is those who come from our midst to go to become senator and governor and council chairman under that constitution. So that constitution is actually, the dividing line between darkness and light in this matter, the dividing line between good and evil. If you were to find, for instance, in 1988, if you were to find a group of black people who, because they were going to be governor or senator in South Africa, will join the board to sustain that apartheid constitution that is killing the blacks, that is making them slaves in their homeland. That is what the political class of southern and middle belt Nigeria, who are subscribing to the democracy defined by this apartheid, worse than apartheid constitution. That's what they are doing. And we say, if the rest of us have come to the realization that our miseries flow from this constitution, and those of them the few who have to go and who want to be governor and senator, insist that they will continue to subscribe to, the democracy defined by this apartheid constitution, the rule of law defined by this constitution, and all of what it contains. They are standing with the enemy. They are standing with those who impose that constitution on us. If they agree with us today, this matter will end today. If they agree with us that we cannot proceed, that they cannot proceed in the pretense that we have democracy under apartheid constitution, if they do that today, all these problems will end today. And therefore, we hold the political class from the south and the middle belt responsible for our miseries and our woes. The killings going on are being enabled by their participation. The impoverishment happening to everybody is happening because of their participation under that constitution. The assets that have been detained, whether it's oil and gas of Niger Delta or the port of Lagos or other such assets, how did Dangote come to become the owner of all the limestones in the land? Somebody allocated it to him. And so we're saying that it is because of those elements from the south and the middle belt who are participating in the politics defined by this constitution. That's why the enemy that imposed that constitution is finding, validation, finding legitimacy with their participation. They are doing that participation in negation of the rights of the other people. They are doing that participation as in collaboration with the enemy against their own people because of the monies that they get paid. The governors that go to get 10 billion or 5 billion every month, the senators that get 50 million naira every month as their own allowance. That's the only thing that concerns them. That's the only thing they bother about. Their own children are all out there. The children of the other people must remain here and die here. So we're saying to them that we will hold them responsible for this misery going forward. We know somebody imposed it, but they are collaborating, they are colluding in keeping it the way it is. And we say they have to make a choice now to come to join their people in rejecting further business under that constitution, or they remain with the enemy and get treated as the enemy by the people who are suffering from whether they are being killed or they are being impoverished or their destinies are being derailed, like we see all around. 200 million people, it cannot stand. And they put our signature at the foot of that constitution as the authors of it. That's the worst of it. And we're saying we did not make the document. We've taken 21 years to explain to everybody that we need to get rid of it. They are not listening to us. In the coming days, they're going to count how many there are. In the coming days, they're going to see that they cannot overpower the number of people they claim to represent, or they pretend they seek to represent, for the ones who are not yet there. For anybody who is prepared to swear to defend and uphold the Constitution that is directly responsible for the killing of other people, such a person will have to take responsibility for the consequences of aiding and abetting the killing, not the person who originally imposed it. That's where we want to come. We're not bothered by those who are trying to keep what their grandfather Ahmadu Bello or grandfather Uthman Danfodio handed to them. They are keeping it by subterfuge, by guile, by brute force. They've had it for 100 years. The time has come for us to examine the basis. The time has come for us to say to go to a meeting to re-examine the signature behind that gives the life to that instrument. We did not sign. It's not going to remain the basis of the union. There's a process that can make it peaceful, but if they insist that guns will be used to resolve it instead of discussions, they will soon have to count their numbers.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you. Sister Ukwi, please go ahead. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Barrister Tony.
No title at all.
Okay, thank you so much, Tony. Tony, yeah, I know you don't like titles. It's just that sometimes our people need to know who is talking to them, because some of these things we are discussing are legal issues, they are technical issues. So there are people who understand that it's not just something that you pull out from the corner of your ear, and just start telling them. These things have been studied, and there's a specialty dealing with things like this. So we are in good hands. So we've had a torrent of inquiries, pouring in from interested members of the public, wondering and asking, how will this fraudulent 1999 Constitution be taken down to end their misery? So many are anxiously seeking to know what roles they need to play to bring this thing down, to dismantle this appetite-like 1999 Constitution. So questions are coming. Please, can you help our people, help to tell our people what they need to hear? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, luckily for all of us, we recall that it was by proclamation in 1914 that the union was imposed on us by the British, who had set up their criminal venture.
Yeah.
And the argument here is that if the proclamation of one person sitting in one corner of England is enough to create this union, the joint proclamation by those who have been trapped here, those who bury people in hundreds every day, is more than enough. The custodian, the owners of the sovereignty, our sovereignty never left us. Our sovereignty was always with us. The only thing that happened was that when a supervening force comes up, it becomes a suzerainty. So in all the years of colonial rule, our sovereignty was suppressed, and we were under the suzerainty of the British Crown. When they left in 1960, they handed over to their local agent, this Fulani Caliphate, that has now imposed a constitution by brigandage. And our sovereignty remains with us, the sovereignty of the Ijaw, the sovereignty of the Ogoni, the sovereignty of the Fulani, the sovereignty of the Yoruba, the sovereignty of the Igbo, all of those sovereignties that have been, confiscated into the Nigerian Union of Imposition under this constitution. Is those sovereignties that we have to invoke together. And that's what this alliance is all about, to organize the owners of all those sovereignties to invoke their sovereignty and reestablish their right to self-determination. That right to self-determination is inalienable, is not subject to the agreement or acceptance of anybody. All you need to do is to organize yourself in such a way that you can exercise it. The constitution we have in place now was done in negation of our right to self-determination, in suppression of our right to our sovereignty. And so that constitution that is the end product of all that brigandage is within our reach now to take down, since it has our signatures on it as the authors of our own damnation. What our people need to do now? Two things, very quickly. They need to begin to understand what the problem is. Like we're explaining now, ignorance has been 90% of all of what has gone wrong. Mm-hmm. The ones who are waving Biafra flag all over the place, the ones who are shouting Oduduwa Republic, the ones who say, oh, restructuring, none of those things is going to fall from the sky. The ones who say, oh, resource control, who are you talking with? They are not listening. They are not going to listen. They are only looking for who to bribe. They are only looking for who they will kill. And so knowledge is the first thing. The materials are right there out, abundant. Let our people begin to listen to the diagnosis of the ailment that is about to kill them. It has killed many. It was this same ailment that killed 3.5 million people in eastern Nigeria, where the discussion was, how do we live in this union in peace? Is that same ailment that is consuming all of those who have been killed in the Middle Belt? Is that ailment that is sitting on the lives and assets of the Niger Delta? Is that ailment that has brought Yoruba to the point where they've gone to the UN to say they don't have a country anymore? And so knowledge, sharing of this information that is freely available, people can go directly to the Lower Niger Congress website, lowernigercongress.org. That's www.lowernigercongress.org. You will see all of what you need to know about this. You can share it. You can go to Facebook, Lower Niger Congress wall. You're going to see so much of all of this. That's on the one part. On the other part is the action that is about to be ignited now, to be activated. This constitutional force majeure is merely, a declaration of an emergency to declare the situation as it is, that our contact has been frustrated by these extraordinary circumstances of Sharia being imposed, of the basis of the federation being truncated, of our signature being put on a document we didn't make. In all of that, once that proclamation is made, in invocation of our sovereignty, those who are listening now should tell other people who are not listening that that is the end of the life of that constitution, because the problem, the source of the problem is in our hands to reverse. We only need to say that we have endured this to the point where we can no longer endure it. We are suspending obligations under that imposition. We are not anarchists. And so we will give this, the system is going to be given some definite time to come to table. the majority that is being killed by people who are flooding in at the invitation of the government of the day. The Fulani have been invited from all over Africa. We saw the governor in Bauchi going to television to tell us that Fulani from all over Africa belong to Nigeria now. We saw the president of Nigeria throwing our borders open, and they poured in great numbers. We see the kind of things they are doing all over the place. The governor in Kaduna told us that he went to 14 different countries to give them money to stop coming to kill, meaning that he knows where they are. And he's in direct contact with them. And they've been asked to come in. They are here now, they are killing people. And we say, in all of that, we're in a position to say that our contract has been frustrated by this series of actions, and that obligations will be suspended. We're not anarchists. And so we say that those in government house, exactly like South Africa did with apartheid constitution in 1990 under President Frederick de Klerk, we're saying that those in government house can remain for the period we must have that discussion. But as for that discussion, it must now be had. And we're saying that we will not proceed to any further election. I'm sure everybody had the Yoruba land declared the other time, where they talked about not being available to go to another election under this constitution. When they say unless restructuring is done, they will not go to election. And as it is in their part, so it is in our part. The solemn assembly that happened in the Lower Niger in Port Harcourt in 2015, the solemn assembly that happened in Ibadan on the 7th of September in 2017, the one that happened in Makurdi on the 18th of July in 2018, were saying the same thing. The constituents, the whole of the South and the whole of the Middle Belt had, by democratic processes of the people, repudiated that Constitution 99 as the basis of the Union. They now came out in December of 2018, December 11, in Freedom Park Proclamation to say that no further elections will be tolerated under that Constitution. The election slated for 2023 is still almost 3 years away. This is the time for those who do not want to continue to be slaves in their land to embrace this action and explain to the other people that we only need to insist that we will not proceed to any further elections under that Constitution. And the people, we have the action to take is to look around your neighborhood. Who is doing PDP? Who is doing APC? Who is doing ABGA? Since all the political parties subscribe to that Constitution, our quarrel is no longer with the ones who came from Mali or who came from Senegal. Our quarrel is with those people in our neighborhoods promoting political parties, whether as candidates for election or as people just running the party because it is the party that fields the candidates for elections. So our ordinary people who want to end their trauma should see to it that no political party is allowed to drag them to election in their neighborhoods. Anybody that is political party is the enemy now. And we're saying we must stop the journey to another election in 2023. We're not talking about boycott here. We're talking about stopping the process at the earliest stage. It is possible for us to tell those people who are running political party in our neighborhoods that they are dragging us to death if they think they want to drag us to another election in 2023. We're not concerned about the ones of the states because those ones are already here. The one that will happen in Edo or in Ekiti or wherever they have elections next. Those are not the ones we're talking about, so that we don't introduce confusion. We're not talking about boycott. We're saying we have to shut down the process that might lead to elections under this constitution in 2023. And so those in government house can remain for the period of this discussion. Our quarrel is not with the governor and president and senator. They can remain in their post, but we must now go to the process, like South Africa did in 1990, to begin to work out what will happen. Our people must go to referendum in the manner that they will recommit to the union, because the collapse of that constitution is end of union. Let nobody deceive anybody. It's not the business of National Assembly to begin to write constitution, because there are two businesses that have to be transacted. from the collapse of the constitution. Are we recommitting to the union? You had Professor Akintoye of the Yoruba World Congress talking about the referendum bills they have before their 6th state assembly. That is what the other groups, the other groups in the alliance are already working on their own for how they get there. Their people must recommit to being in any union with anybody by referendum. It is when they recommit that we can now go to the question of deciding the terms of that union. That's where we are now. It is within the reach of our people who are facing this existential threat. Fulani are all over the place in their backyards, pointing guns at them. They are there just because they are the Union of Nigeria, as imposed by this constitution. It is within their reach to say they did not make this constitution, they will not live under it anymore. But we are moderating in the middle. People are already calling on others to go and get guns to defend themselves. The Catholic bishops in Nigeria are calling on people to go and defend themselves. You saw people, even governors, they're telling their people, look, go get guns wherever you can get them because they've been killed. So we say, before it becomes anarchy, what we have proposed now, what we are proposing by that force majeure is to activate a framework within which this matter can be engaged under a roof. If that opportunity is not taken, the matter will resolve itself on the street. And if anybody is thinking they're going to find enough guns to overrun all of these people, if anybody thinks they're going to overrun all these people by just molesting them, you saw the one, Obadiah Melafia was telling them what was happening to his people. He comes from the place where the killings are taking place. They've done everything to engage the government, in the area. And he was reporting what he had verified. And the DSS started inviting him to, what do they think people are going to do? That those who are facing existential threat on the scale we have seen are going to get intimidated because they wear some uniform? They better realize that this will not stand. They better realize there's a new majority. They better realize that the ordinary people are going to be holding to account the members from their own parts of the country that are sustaining the life of this constitution. We can bring a process to it and avoid anarchy. That's what we are offering. That's what this whole proposition is all about. That we can resolve it instead of allowing it to blow up and consume the continent of Africa. If Nigeria goes down, the whole of West Africa is gone. And if with the kind of things we have seen between Sudan and Libya and all of the whole world is concerned. We spent most of last year in the United States where they were worrying about the scale of killings happening here. We saw in August when the special rapporteur came to Nigeria to look at the reason for the extrajudicial killings, blood all over the place. And the report was that the constitutional arrangement of Nigeria was like a pressure cooker for injustice. All the agitations are coming from bad constitutional arrangement. The agitation in Niger Delta is coming from the fact that their oil and gas assets are seized by your constitution. The Middle Belt is upside down because of that constitution. The Yoruba that is now seeking Odua Republic and the ones in the East are looking for Biafra, all reacting, their constitutional grievances being expressed. Why can't we accept from what we have seen that we did not make this constitution? The one we made couldn't have led us to this. We are saying, let us sit down and accept that we have a problem. It is that pretense that we do not have a problem. It is the pretense that guns will resolve it that has led it to go this bad. Our people can solve this problem inside 2020 if they will listen to us. Directives will come to them as we go on.